Hello, Mr Lammy. I'm Sally Callow from Stripy Lightbulb CIC. I'm an MECFS educator and campaigner, and I wanted to share something with you that sits directly within the Ministry of Justice and is quietly causing real-world problems for people with MECFS. At Stripy Lightbulb CIC, we're currently working on a private research project. As part of that work, we needed to access Ministry of Justice data sets. Employment Tribunal data was one of the very few sources we could use to look at real case information. Something concerning became obvious straight away. When we searched for MECFS cases, they were appearing alongside cases involving learning difficulties and psychological disorders. That's because internally, the Ministry of Justice still classifies MECFS as a psychological disorder. This is completely out of line with NICE guidance, the World Health Organization, and the biomedical research community. MECFS is a complex, multi-system disease. It is not psychological. But this misclassification has consequences, especially in employment tribunals. Tribunals use a set of core questions to decide whether someone meets the legal definition of disability. These questions include: does the condition have a substantial adverse effect on day-to-day activities? Has the person had treatment to manage or correct the impairment? Would the impairment still have substantial effects without that treatment? Have the effects lasted, or are they likely to last at least 12 months? And if not, are they likely to recur? These questions are supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to apply equally to any long-term condition. But when MECFS is misclassified as psychological within the Ministry of Justice system, tribunal staff may begin from the wrong assumption before the claimant even speaks. And that completely changes how these questions are interpreted. Instead of understanding MECFS as a biomedical condition with hallmark symptoms like post-exertional malaise, energy impairment, and cognitive dysfunction, the claimant's answers risk being viewed through a psychological lens. That affects credibility. It affects how evidence is weighed, and it affects whether the tribunal recognises the person as disabled under the Equality Act. This isn't about individual tribunal staff, it's a structural problem, a classification problem, and it sits within your department. For the MECFS community, this means unnecessary barriers to justice, inconsistent decisions, extra emotional labour explaining the biomedical nature of the illness, and a system that simply isn't aligned with modern medical understanding. At Stripy Lightbulb CIC, our work is all about improving understanding of MECFS across public-facing systems. And what we've seen in the MOJ data is a clear example of how outdated assumptions quietly shape outcomes. Mr Lammy, this is something that can be fixed. Updating the internal classification of MECFS to reflect NICE and World Health Organization guidance would bring the Ministry of Justice in line with current science and reduce the risks of unfair treatment in tribunals. People with MECFS that deserve a justice system that recognises their illness for what it is, not what it once was assumed to be. Thank you for listening. I've already emailed you and your department with our concerns.